today is the day to question the Congress because they are in the news. Can Mr. Kharge therefore bring change? Is Mr. Kharge a stopgap chief? And what will be the Gandhi's role? Let's widen that debate. Salman Soz, Congress leader who was Shashi Tharoor's election agent, joining us. Tableen Singh, columnist who's watched the Congress over the years. Javed Ansari, senior journalist who's also tracked the Congress for years. Praveen Chakravarti was chairman data analytics and part of the committee that oversaw this election. And Sanjay Jha, eternal Congress rebel, if I may call him, because he was once in the Congress. But Salman Soz, I want to come to you first, because you specifically today claimed that there were irregularities in the election and questioned the entire credibility of the entire election process, particularly in the state of Uttar Pradesh. But when Shashi Tharoor lost by the afternoon, you didn't say a word. So in the morning, you all were questioning the poll process. By afternoon, you seem to be willing to accept gracefully that Mr. Kharge was the president. Tell us exactly, was this poll rigged or not?
Look, Rajdeep, no election is a perfect election. Even if the Election Commission of India organizes elections, there are always imperfections. The fact of the matter is that the Congress party was having its presidential elections after more than 20 years. So there are bound to be some, what I call shortcomings. There is room for improvement. But I don't think, when we look at the totality of this election, I think the Chief Election Authority of the Congress Party, Madhusudan Mistry ji, and his team, I think they worked very hard, long hours, and they did their best. And yes, were there shortcomings? Definitely.
No, you didn't use the word shortcoming. You went. Mr. Soz. Mr. Soz, this morning in your letter, you said the election process in UP is devoid of credibility and integrity. The facts are damning. Now, you're now being soft peddling. Has something changed? Are you maintaining that in certain states like Uttar Pradesh, the elections were fixed in a way to favor Mr. Kharge?
Throughout the campaign, we've been in constant communication with Kharge ji's office, with Mistry ji's office, the chief election authority of the Congress party. That continued during the election day, then following the election day. We did raise concerns. There's no doubt about that. And of course, a letter was leaked, which is unfortunate, but that is what happened. But at the same time, we told Mistry ji's office that ultimately he's the authority and he has to investigate, and once he does, I mean, I'm sure he's going to, there'll be lessons learned from this exercise. I can tell you this, that we have paved the way for the next generation of Congress leaders to have an even better election, in the years to come. So I think we are satisfied, Dr. Tharoor is satisfied, I'm satisfied that we had a very good election. And now I think with this, with Kharge ji as our new president, and he's everybody's president, he's Dr. Tharoor's president, he's my president. But I also want to say, I want to take just a moment to say that I think Dr. Tharoor did exceptionally well. I think he surprised a lot of people. I know there were many people who did not think we would cross 200 votes, but with 1,072 delegates, Dr. Tharoor has shown in some ways that the party's workers and delegates are yearning for change. And by the way, it is not just these 1,072 delegates. I think there are a lot more people in the Congress party. I would say an overwhelming majority of the Congress party which wants change, which wants more power to the workers, which wants to start winning elections desperately. There's a hunger for it. I hope Kharge ji really seizes on that and takes us forward.
Let me stop you, Salman Soz, because you've transformed, as I said, from the morning where you were screaming irregularities to now saying you accept the electoral verdict, which is perhaps the way, it should be. Jo jeeta wo Sikandar. But Praveen Chakravarti is with us, Congress leader who's part of that election committee. Praveen, can you tell us honestly that this election was free and fair? We were told that delegates were being rung up and told to vote for Mr. Kharge, that there were places where Mr. Tharoor, where senior leaders were told not to be seen with Dr. Tharoor. Are you saying this was entirely free and fair? There will be the suspicion that people will voice that Mr. Kharge was the unofficial official candidate of the Congress High Command.
See, first, I want to actually thank Dr. Shashi Tharoor for forcing a contest, and the very fact that we're having a discussion right now means is because Shashi decided to contest. So I think he deserves credit, and it has to be acknowledged. As regards the process, let me at least outline the scale of the exercise. Nearly 1,000 people working for over a year executing this election across nearly 38 states and territories, and a process that really has not had a precedence for 2 decades, and there is no other party that does this. So while commentary is good, let us also look at the execution enormity here. Now, was the exercise absolutely flawless and spotless? No, I'll be the first to acknowledge that. But was the election free and fair? Hand to my heart, free and fair election.
No, hand to your heart, you're saying when delegates are rung up, when delegates are rung up from Delhi, when state leaders are all seen to line up behind Mr. Kharge, are you telling me that the perception wasn't there a perception he was the unofficial official candidate of the Gandhis?
Rajdeep, you are an election mania, I know that, and so election is about perceptions. It's about creating perceptions. I think we are conflating two things here. When you call the process free and fair, it is about the election process, not about electioneering. It's a contest for power. People are bound to posture, people are bound to get aggressive. But what constitutes a free and fair election? Was every voter free to vote for whoever they wanted? Was every voter able to vote? Was every vote a secret? The answer is yes to all of these. Now, how can you say that somebody calling someone, while it may seem unfair to one party, constitutes an unfair election? Even in the United States, Donald Trump as president supports a primary candidate. So let us not conflate the two just because some of you may not have had the outcome that you chose to see.
No, we don't worry. Journalists just observe. Tavleen Singh, as an observer, therefore, do you believe that this election actually has done anything for the Congress? We've been talking about revival, about the need for a strong opposition. Does this give you hope that the Congress is turning a new leaf, or do you get a sense it's the more things change, the more they are the same?
I don't see any change at the moment. But I was very interested in Mr. Chidambaram's trickle-down democracy theory. Shouldn't it have been the other way up? After they lost in 2014, if they'd had block level, panchayat level, and etc. elections, they would have been dealing with a political party and not with a family firm. Now, to turn a family firm into a political party again is not an easy task. Don't forget that we're dealing with a lady who could make the Prime Minister of India break the Official Secrets Act to send her as a she wasn't anybody in the government. She was sent secret files. So, poor Mr. Kharge, as we know, I don't know why you're taking so long to come to the conclusion that he wasn't the official candidate. Everyone who watches an election, I mean, a 10-year-old child could have told you who had the blessing of the Gandhi family. So, to tell you the truth, I don't see any change, and I'm very disappointed, actually, because I would like to see the Congress revive.
Interesting word that you use, that where is the, the trickle-down democracy that Mr. Chidambaram was talking about. Are you saying, therefore, Tavleen Singh, you believe that the Congress will still be effectively a private family firm? Is that what you're saying? And therefore, Mr. Kharge's role is simply to implement what the Gandhis want?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. He will be given the task of doing a little bit of, housekeeping or office keeping or whatever it is. He'll be the clerk dealing with the files, as far as I can see. All major decisions, in my view, will be taken as they always have been since Sonia Gandhi was president. She continues to remain president. In my view, this is a cosmetic change.
Cosmetic change. You agree with that, Javed Ansari? You've been tracking this party for years. Do you see this only as cosmetic change, that the real power will remain with the Gandhis?
Look, whether this is cosmetic change or real, we will only know for sure as time goes by. But it will be a real pity for the Congress if it is business as usual, because business as it was being conducted was not acceptable to congressmen and to the electorate. So for their own sake, the Congress needs to change. This is a small but significant step. I do not believe that these elections were rigged. Could they have been organized better? Certainly, but they were certainly not rigged. And now we need Mr. Kharge, and it's on the congressman now to prove. They've been provided a chance to prove, and it's for the Gandhi family also now. They need to truly step back and allow Mr. Kharge and his new tune to function, and they ought to lend them their support.
Let's take that forward.
They're doomed.
Let's take that forward. Sanjay Jha, do you also believe this is just cosmetic change, that that effectively power will continue to vest with the Gandhis, while Mr. Kharge will at best be only seen as a stopgap arrangement possibly?
You know, Rajdeep, I think Mr. Chidambaram mentioned on your show earlier that the Congress is the software, what it needs is a new hardware. But I honestly believe the Congress needs a new operating system. It needs a fundamental seminal change. And I can tell you this for a fact that I agree with Tavleen, that for a party that once governed India for successive elections, this 110 of the 17 general elections, to be routed in the last 2 general elections, you don't have the luxury, ladies and gentlemen, of incremental change. Change has to be drastic. It has to be, as rightly mentioned at the beginning of the program, extraordinary. It has to be spectacular. It has to be earth-shaking. And this is not happening in the Congress. So therefore, I agree with Shashi.
Would Shashi Tharoor have represented that? Do you really believe that Shashi Tharoor, the charge is, you see, you and I can say that, you know, Kharge is the wrong person, Tharoor is the right person, but Congress workers, if you speak to them, they don't seem to see it that way. If you speak to Congress delegates, they seem to believe that Mallikarjun Kharge has the organizational experience. In Congress at the age of 80, you are still treated as young.
Well, let me tell you, Rajdeep, that Gandhis are intrinsic, integral and inherent to the Congress. That's beyond debate, and that's a positive asset for the Congress. It's a political capital. Nobody's going to deny that, which is why it's, I think, in my opinion, you know, myopic politically to be accused of still being, you know, having a puppet there as the Congress president. I would have liked it if Mr. Kharge's candidature, which happened, as we all know, at the last minute, and let's not try and beat about the bush here. I mean, you're all mature people. We know what we are talking about. Digvijay Singh comes in, steps out, Mr. Kharge comes in.
Right.
The entire soap opera was last minute because Mr. Kharge was chosen as the more convenient consensus candidate that will please everyone. He was not in the running on his own voluntarily. So the bottom line is very straightforward. The Congress has refused or abandoned change. It is still static and status quo. But to take on the BJP, it has to be a different party. Now, nobody is saying that...
Can I just stop you? Can I just stop you? Because we want to get in more views. You're saying this is status quoist, that this is incremental change at best. Praveen Chakravarti, you are someone who's close to Rahul Gandhi as well. Many believe Rahul Gandhi is the elephant in the room. He's on a Bharat Jodo Yatra. He says, I'm hands off from this election. But the general perception again, and in this case perception belief, is that he's still the power. That all major decisions, eventually the final port of call is Mr. Gandhi. And unless that is sorted out, nothing will change.
See, before I answer that, I actually want to raise an objection. Somebody on your show just now charged the former Prime Minister of violating an Official Secrets Act. Either they provide evidence for it or they face the consequences. That cannot just go uncontested.
Yeah, just to say, I've got Mr. Chidambaram also, and I'll get Tavleen Singh to respond. He's saying, I protest Tavleen Singh. No secret files were sent to Mrs. Gandhi, is what Mr. Chidambaram, who's watching the show, has said. I'll get Tavleen to respond, just half a second, but yes, Tavleen, you want to quickly respond to that? They're both saying this is absolute rubbish.
I mean, I don't need to prove it. Just go back to that time, and, you know, there was a big controversy about it. There was a big controversy about the fact...
Whispers in the corridor is not how you charge former
It's not, we're not talking about whispers in the corridor. There were stories written about it. There were files that went... Somebody working in the Prime Minister's office was then...
There were 1,000 stories written about many things, of which I know...
Not writing stories.
So whispers in the corridor do not work.
No.
When someone is charging a former Prime Minister, that is absolutely wrong.
Okay.
You cannot charge a former Prime Minister of violating an Official Secrets Act based on some
I am saying that
gossip columns.
Files from the Prime Minister's office...
Do you have evidence? Can you provide that?
Yes, you know, if you give me a chance, I can't do it right now, but I can.
Okay, okay, Tavleen Singh has promised she will provide evidence that files went from Dr. Manmohan Singh to Sonia Gandhi. Remember, this was part of speculation, but there is no...
Violating the Official Secrets Act is the claim.
So no, 1 minute.
proving that.
Can we therefore now move ahead, Praveen, to the question of Rahul Gandhi, the elephant in the room? We can debate this on another day, but Rahul Gandhi, the elephant in the room, is he the one who still calls the shots? What will his role be?
No, see, elephant or tiger or all, you can use all of those analogies. But I don't need to answer that question because Mr. Rahul Gandhi himself answered that question in an earlier press conference today, where when asked what will his role be, he categorically said that is for Mr. Kharge to decide.
And am I to believe that? Am I to believe that? Am I to believe that? Again, there's an element of incredulity to that.
No,
you appreciate that.
No, I told you that. See, in fact, I keep repeating this. You can talk about incredulity, but there were 56 articles that all of you wrote and discussed saying Rahul Gandhi was going to be the next president between 2019 and 2022. As we stand today, he is not the president. So you may find it incredulous, you may find it unbelievable. At this stage, we have to take him on his word because he's the only person who has actually delivered on what he said he will do. So, so let us, at this stage, it will only be my word versus your word. But evidence shows that he has a track record of sticking to what he says.
Okay, that's interesting that you're saying that Rahul Gandhi is willing to take whatever Mr. Kharge says, but that role has to be defined, and that's part of the Congress's problem because the Congress needs at the moment major surgery. Sanjay Jha, you want to dive into that? Your belief, will Rahul Gandhi, is that part of the problem that you and others have, that there is no clear definition of roles, and as long as this sort of loose arrangement continues, someone is seen as the cosmetic face versus the power vesting somewhere else? Is that the problem? At the end of the day, Narendra Modi is clear in the BJP. He is the power. JP Nadda is president, but the power is with Mr. Modi. There's no ambiguity there.
No, and what about Amit Shah?
I believe that.
Amit Shah?
Yes, go ahead, Sanjay.
I believe that both Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi should have publicly articulated their position that whoever you want to vote for, let it be a conscious vote. You see, the perception amongst the public, I mean, one can, talk in echo chambers here, but the perception amongst the public, and I'm not just talking about XYZ, is that Mr. Kharge is a puppet or a rubber-stamped Congress president. Now, the only people who can dispel that notion are the Gandhis, because they're accused of actually still, basically kind of, being the ultimate authority. Now, they haven't done it, and this is why I think the Congress still hasn't understood the fundamentals of political communication. And I think this is going to cost the party, because the Bharat Jodo Yatra, from the feedback I'm getting, has got traction. And instead, I think they have just blown up an opportunity. Okay. And I do believe that they don't come to you every day. A Congress president election happening after 24 years should not have looked upon.
Very quickly, who would have been your choice? You would have gone for Dr. Tharoor, is it? Or you would have looked for someone else? The other day you were telling me you wanted a Sachin Pilot, Priyanka Gandhi double ticket.
Yep, absolutely. Just think about it, that today, if you had a Sachin Pilot in the game, it would have been a very, very different story. But the Congress is reluctant to change. And one of the problems is the number of, the sycophants and the hangers-on who have their own vested interest and will perpetuate a legacy that, frankly speaking, is not going to get it anywhere.
Salman Sos, you were Tharoor's agent. Was he the best person to lead? Many believe, as was an accusation that Ashok Gehlot made, he was too elitist. That in the Congress, perhaps, yes, Kharge may not be the ideal candidate, but was Tharoor?
Dr. Tharoor, I thought was the best person for the job at this time when the Congress party faces many different challenges. But our voters felt otherwise, and they went with Kharge ji, and which we respect. But I must tell you that I hear a lot of despondency out here. I know, we have Congress supporters here. But I don't think they're reading the verdict clearly. The verdict is of change. Getting 1,072 delegates in the Congress election when because of Kharge ji's long association with the party, he obviously knows so many people at all levels of the party.
No, 1 minute. You're saying this is a vote for you're saying this is a vote for change. He got just 12%. Shashi Tharoor got 12%. Kharge gets 84%. You're telling me it's a vote for change?
But Rajdeep, let me explain. This is a huge vote for change. Anybody who understands the Congress party, the way the Congress party works, the way it is structured, getting 1,072 votes in this kind of an election is a huge vote for change. In fact, not just this 12%. But the vast majority of the other 88% also wants change.
Okay, then Sanjay Jha quickly
That
wants
is
to
clear.
respond.
I think the leadership has taken
let
notice.
Sanjay Jha quick
and I'm
response.
sure that Kharge ji will
Rajdeep,
Yes.
Rajdeep, Salman and I co-authored a piece that led to my suspension from the Congress. I really love my dear friend, but I totally disagree with him here. I'll tell you why. The 88% vote for Mr. Kharge is basically telling you that he had the blessings of the Congress High Command. The other candidate was Shashi Tharoor, not some ordinary guy, one of the best parliamentarians, probably the most respected, international politician from India. And look at the way Shashi has been dumped. I think with due respect, Shashi is a dear friend. I would have voted for him. I, in fact, publicly supported him. But this is a vote for Congress saying we refuse to budge. We will not change.
Javed Ansari, do you see it as that Dr. Tharoor has been virtually isolated, or as Salman Soz is saying, 1,000 plus votes is more than what Sharad Pawar got, albeit with a smaller delegate overall electoral college at the time in 1997?
Yes, and he got many more votes than Mr. Jitendra Prasad, who was Parliament political secretary to two Congress presidents. So yes, this cannot be. Maybe he didn't get the amount of votes that Sanjay Jha or maybe I would have liked, but he certainly got traction. He has certainly struck a chord, and it would be downright foolish on the part of the new Congress leadership to ignore that. They should include the likes of Shashi Tharoor, Ashok Gehlot, Sachin Pilot, and lots of these young people. They should be a part of the core team taking Congress party forward.
Tavleen Singh, if you were to give one piece of advice, and I know journalists are reluctant at times to give advice to political parties like the Congress, what is that advice you would give? You're hearing all these voices, some saying that this is a vote for change, others saying this is status quoism of the worst kind. Is there any hope at all that you see?
I think that they should stop giving mixed messages. If the election is important, then the yatra shouldn't be going on simultaneously, because the man leading the yatra is the man who's going to be the prime ministerial face in the eyes of everybody, or who's going to take on Mr. Modi. So if I was asked, which I will never be, I would say that the Congress party really needs to get the Gandhi family to play a less executive role and to be the symbols of unity, because we all know that it'll fall apart if they aren't that symbol. But I think that they've got to let somebody else do the real work of rebuilding a party that has been a darbar for so long.
You're saying it's been a darbar. A final word, therefore, for you, Praveen Chakravarti. Are you part of that darbar, or are there, as some are saying, Praveen Chakravarti, two darbar? There is Sonia Gandhi, status quoist, and Rahul Gandhi, who actually wants change. Is there that, or is that again media perception and speculation?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to get a little bit more mature and sophisticated in our political discussions. I think this trope about Gandhi, non-Gandhi, and this incessant, honestly, it's very, very childish and immature. I think the party has just had an election. It takes enormous institutional capacity and skills to execute an election. And these are the traits that are needed to build a nation into a strong republic as well, right? Yes, I'm the first to acknowledge that the Congress party has not had the best years in the last 4, 5, 6, or even maybe a decade, as some may argue. Yes, status quo will not work. Yes, we need change. But let's get away from this constant trope of, very simplistic frameworks of Gandhi, non-Gandhi, and this and that. We've had a process. The process has thrown a winner. The winner is legitimate, and let us all give the new president a chance.
Okay, let's leave it
there. By what he scores on the pitch, not based on his selection.
Okay, the proof of the pudding lies in what happens next. What really will Mallikarjun Kharge do? We'll wait and see. As journalists, we tend to be skeptical, but who knows? We'd be happy to be proven wrong. We need a strong opposition where the Congress has a key role to play. I appreciate all my guests joining us here on the news today. Good to have lots of articulate, different voices on the show tonight.